Good afternoon. Today is Thursday, May 28th, and we had a wonderful bullish day. Today, the S&P 500 up 0.5%. The Nasdaq new highs up near 1%. The Dow relatively quiet. The Russell 2000 also up 0.5% today. Yesterday was pretty much a Dow day. Today was definitely a software day. The rotation flipped out of the Dow and defensives back into big tech. Snowflake, definitely the story today, up nearly 36% here off of its earnings report. Q1 revenue came in at $1.39 billion, up 33.5% year over year, beating the $1.32 billion estimate. EPS was 39 cents versus 32 cents expected. They also raised full year product revenue guidance to $5.84 billion, which is about a 31% growth. The big number was definitely a $6 billion 5-year deal with Amazon Web Services for AI and cloud infrastructure, and that's the largest partnership in Snowflake's entire history. They also acquired an AI startup called Natoma and rolled out some new AI tools, Snowflake Intelligence, Cortex Code, and Cortex Agents. A 36% move on earnings pretty much tells me that the street was positioned for bad news, and it got quite the opposite. We know a lot of these software names, they've been beaten up because of the AI trade, and Snowflake was one of them. They've been beaten down all year alongside the rest of the enterprise software. And this is the kind of print that turns the whole sector around. And it pretty much did. Names like Microsoft, Oracle, and Palantir, they all gained 3 to 4% on Snowflake's coattails. When one name proves that the AI spending thesis is real, then the whole group is going to catch a bid, and that's definitely what we saw here. Interestingly enough, Salesforce did not catch a break, down 2% so far on the week, and they actually had a beat. Their revenue was $11.13 billion, which is up 13% year over year. Their EPS, $3.88 versus $3.12 expected. It's still a 24% beat, but the stock pretty much dropped anyway. Their full year guidance came in light, and that's the same story as last quarter. The market's fear on this is pretty simple. AI agents replace the human workers who buy Salesforce seats. Until Agentforce, which is like their AI product, proves it can replace that lost revenue fast enough, the stock is pretty much stuck. CRM itself on the year is down 32%. Beat and retreat pretty much is the story here. Now let's turn to the PCE and macro data. Now the number everybody was waiting for was the April PCE, and that came in this morning, and it hit a 3-year high. And this is the Fed's preferred inflation gauge, and it's moving in the wrong direction. The Fed's target is 2%. March was already at 3.5%, with the core being at 3.2%. April has pushed that higher, driven by the Iran oil shock, and that is finally bleeding into everything else. We kind of knew this was going to happen. Consumer spending and jobless claims both came in strong. The economy's still running hot, but this data does push rate cuts further out. We're not expecting any rate cuts for 2026. And we might not even see any in 2027. Markets are pretty much making it a pretty interesting job already for the new Fed chairman, Kevin Warsh, which is his first meeting is in June. And he's going to be walking in with inflation accelerating, not decelerating. And that's pretty much a hawkish setup. The bond market did react. If you're watching the 10-year, you already know. But the big mover today was, interestingly enough, we got a little bit of a move from the PCE, but our big breakout news report came in earlier this morning when Axios reported that the U.S. and Iran are reaching a ceasefire extension deal, but it is pending Trump's final approval, and we haven't gotten confirmation from Trump yet, so we need to be keeping our ears and eyes out for that going on. But nonetheless, if we look at the heat map here, Microsoft up 3.5%. AMD up 4.5%. You can kind of see already that the market was mostly big tech driven. Like I mentioned, App Lovin up 5.5% there. And all those Dow components from yesterday took a little bit of a breather. Caterpillar down about 2.5%. Coca-Cola down 1.5%. Procter & Gamble down 1%. You get the idea. But drone stocks also popped on reports that the Trump administration may fund domestic drone makers through new defense contracts. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Oil stayed under pressure, mainly due to, you know, the news from the Middle East and the possible ceasefire situation. The 60-day ceasefire extension between the U.S. and Iran definitely keeps crude pinned. There's still some skepticism about the details, but the market is trading the headline for now. But all right, let's move on to today's price action. Most notably, of course, we're going to talk about the volume profile. Starting here with the SPY, we can see we opened up right here. We got an initial dip down, and then as you can see, we got that big newsprint. What was that, around, what time was that? That was around 10 o'clock this morning. We got a little bit of a pullback. Actually got long right here. We dipped back down. I got stopped out, and then we pushed back up, and I got back in because we were breaking above this 752 key level, and that's when we pushed on higher towards 755. But as you can see here on the volume profile, we have a very thin tail here with a big volume shelf here up at the top. So we have a P-shaped volume profile. We've had 2 days of compression ceilings that we talked about yesterday. All that has pretty much gone away now. The coil has been released exactly how it should. 2 sessions of compression that exploded today on the 3rd day. The point of control sits at 754, 71 there. That is the 6th straight higher point of control. We've been migrating higher all week long. The Tuesday and Wednesday stall, where the point of control barely moved over the last 2 sessions, released upward to about $4.36 in a single session. So we moved from here to here in one single session on the point of control on SPY. Moving on to the QQQ, pretty much the same thing. We had a little bit of a shaky start at the beginning. We pushed higher up into last Thursday's value area high, came back down, retested Wednesday's value area high, and then we, of course, got that news, consolidated into a bull flag, and ripped face higher with semiconductors and software names making the moves here. And, of course, we got that P-shaped volume profile here on the QQQ. The point of control is at 735.76, and the weekly point of control actually migrated up to match that, and that is the key difference between these two charts. The SPY's weekly point of control is sitting at about 750.36, which is about $4 below the price, and I'll show you that real quick. It's down here. This is the weekly point of control. Here's today's. That is a pretty wide gap between the two, but nonetheless, if we look here at the Qs, we can see that the point of control has moved up to 735.76, and that is a pretty significant damage. The 2 time frames of volume agreement at the same price, the Nasdaq has that better structural support. So as far as the levels go for going into tomorrow, SPY 755.14 is our ceiling. If we get above here, we are back into clear blue skies. If we start to lose 753, we could see a move back lower to retest this prior all-time high at 752.12. And then from there, of course, we got all these levels down here, 751, 750.36 as potential support areas. As far as the QQQ, for tomorrow, I'm looking for continuation move. We do got that P-shaped volume profile. I'm looking for this to continue to hold, and we get range expansion going into tomorrow. We do need to break above and hold above 736.56. all clear blue skies overhead. If we start to lose 731.51 here, we could get exposure to this thin tail on the volume profile. First retest, of course, will be this 730.08, which was yesterday's volume area high, and then below that we got 726.82 on the downside. So overall, if I had to pick one to be more confident in holding its levels, it's definitely the Nasdaq. The weekly POC moving up is definitely gives me that confirmation, and that is the strongest single level on either chart right now. So above 755.14 on SPY or above 736.56 on the QQQ, and there's nothing overhead and open air. That's going to be it for today. Last trading day of the week is tomorrow. Watch those ceilings at the open. I hope this was useful. Do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe, and I will see you all tomorrow.